Gran Turismo 5 is a racing game on the PlayStation 3. It allows players to drive many different cars on different tracks around the world. The game has very good graphics and realistic driving physics. Despite these strengths, Gran Turismo 5 is one of the top 5 overrated racing games on PS3. This is because the game has many flaws that prevent players from truly enjoying it. For example, the game has a very slow and tedious progression system. Players must spend countless hours grinding to unlock new cars and tracks. This can be very frustrating and boring for many players. Another major flaw of Gran Turismo 5 is its weak online multiplayer mode. The online mode is slow and often has connection issues. This makes it difficult for players to race against each other and have fun. Finally, the game's AI is also very poorly designed. The AI drivers are often too aggressive and will intentionally ram into the player's car. This can be very frustrating and unfair for players who are trying to win races. All of these flaws combined make Gran Turismo 5 one of the top 5 overrated racing games on PS3. While the game has some good qualities, the flaws prevent it from being truly enjoyable for most players. Need for Speed Pro Street is a racing game where players compete in a series of events to become the ultimate street racing champion. The game features a variety of cars and customization options, as well as different race types and locations. However, despite its popularity and hype, Need for Speed Pro Street is considered one of the top 5 overrated racing games on the PS3 for several reasons. Firstly, the game has a limited and repetitive gameplay style that quickly becomes boring. Additionally, the graphics and visuals are not as impressive as other racing games released around the same time. Furthermore, the game's physics and handling are often criticized for being unrealistic and not accurately reflecting real-world driving experiences. Finally, the lack of an open-world setting and the removal of police chases, which were a staple of previous Need for Speed games, left many fans feeling let down. In summary, while Need for Speed Pro Street offers some exciting racing moments and car customization options, it ultimately falls short in terms of gameplay, graphics, physics, and overall depth, making it one of the top 5 overrated racing games on PS3. Midnight Club Los Angeles is a racing game that was released on the PlayStation 3 console. The game is set in Los Angeles and allows players to race through a wide variety of different environments, including the city, the suburbs, and the highways. The game has received a lot of attention from racing game fans, and many people consider it to be one of the best racing games available on the PlayStation 3. However, I think that the game is actually overrated and that there are better racing games available on the console. One of the main reasons why I think that Midnight Club Los Angeles is overrated is that it doesn't really offer anything new or innovative. The gameplay is fairly standard for a racing game, and there are no real standout features or mechanics that make the game stand out from the crowd. Additionally, while the game does offer a wide variety of different environments to race in, the actual racing mechanics are fairly simplistic. There is not a lot of depth to the driving mechanics, and the AI opponents are not particularly challenging. Finally, while the game does offer a decent amount of content, there are other racing games on the PlayStation 3 that offer more content and better value for money. Overall, while Midnight Club Los Angeles is a decent racing game, I don't think that it deserves the level of praise that it has received from some fans. There are better racing games available on the PlayStation 3, and I would recommend checking out some of those instead. Blur is a racing video game released on PS3 in 2010. It features arcade-style gameplay with power-ups and weapons that players can use to gain an advantage over their opponents. The game also features a variety of real-world cars and tracks. However, Blur is considered one of the top 5 overrated racing games on PS3 because it failed to deliver as promised. The game's marketing promised a unique blend of realistic racing and arcade-style action, but in reality, the gameplay was heavily skewed towards the latter. The power-ups and weapons were overpowered, making races feel more like Mario Kart than a serious racing game. Additionally, the game's online multiplayer mode suffered from severe lag and connectivity issues, making it nearly unplayable at times. Despite these flaws, Blur still managed to receive high scores from many gaming publications, leading to its overrated status. F1 2010 is a racing game that came out in 2010 on the PS3. It is based on the Formula One World Championship and allows players to take on the role of a racing driver, competing against other drivers in various races around the world. There are a few reasons why F1 2010 is considered one of the top 5 overrated racing games on PS3.
That's fourth place. You're in for the
Firstly, the graphics and visuals are not as good as they could be, especially when compared to other racing games that were released around the same time. Secondly, the gameplay can be quite repetitive and boring, with races often feeling very similar to each other. There are also some issues with the AI of the other drivers, with them sometimes behaving in unrealistic ways that can be frustrating for players. Lastly, there are some technical issues with the game that can make it difficult to play, such as long loading times and glitches that can cause the game to crash. Overall, while F1 2010 may have been a popular racing game when it first came out, it has not aged well and is now considered overrated due to its outdated graphics, repetitive gameplay, and technical issues.